Even with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo heading to Saudi Arabia, pressure continues to mount for the U.S. to do more. However, the relationship between President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, as Lindsay mentioned, it's really put the U.S. administration on a tightrope. Ann Gearan is a White House reporter for The Washington Post, and she joins me now. How would you describe, Ann, the relationship between Kushner and Mohammed bin Salman?
Well, the two really have seen one another as a form of equals. They are both young, business-oriented princelings, if you will. MBS, as he's frequently known, is the chosen next leader of Saudi Arabia, which puts him on a different plane than Kushner. But they do understand one another in terms of having their authority to make decisions and speak for the ruler of or president in each country. That really does make the two of them rough equals. They're also about the same age, and they've connected really over the last 18 months or so. They didn't know one another well before Donald Trump was elected, but they've really come to know one another quite well. They speak very frequently, and Jared Kushner has made more than about a half a dozen, maybe a little bit more, trips to the region and met directly with MBS.
And they really go from not knowing each other well, as you say, to this sort of, tighter relationship. Why was it one that Kushner fought so hard to forge?
Well, really, Kushner sees MBS as the linchpin to a lot of things that the administration would like to do in the region. The fight against violent extremism, as they call it, which is chiefly countering ISIS, but also a lot of ISIS-like groups or would-be terrorist groups. Saudi Arabia is aligned with the United States on that, and of course has lots of money to back it up. Saudi Arabia is the principal regional opponent to Iran, which was also a founding foreign policy principle of the Trump administration. And if Jared Kushner is ever going to lead Mideast peace negotiations or foster them, he needs Saudi Arabia's diplomatic and financial backing to do that. He saw MBS as a way to start the conversation on all of those fronts, and he also clearly saw MBS's business focus as something that could benefit the United States in terms of investment and arms sales.
One of the things we heard from your president today as he was making his way to the Florida Panhandle to look at that damage from the hurricane was that there's an alternative theory that he's throwing out there regarding the disappearance of Jamal Khashoggi, that rogue killers might be somehow involved rather than the Saudi regime. So let me ask you about that kind of comment, and then the influence we talk about between, or the relationship between Kushner and MBS. What's the influence there?
Well, I mean, Jared Kushner can't really point to any instance that we know of where he was able to curb what appear to be MBS's instincts toward excess. Certainly, your own country knows that MBS can be volatile, can make decisions that appear to be based on personal pique or retaliation, as he did in the diplomatic fracas with Canada earlier this year. And if Kushner has attempted to weigh in to get him to do something else, we don't know about it, or it hasn't worked. In the case of Khashoggi, what Trump said today, it appears to be his version of what the king had said to him, which is, we don't know what happened. If something bad happened, it wasn't us. And that is it's going to be a very difficult line to hold, both for King Salman and for President Trump, if he takes the king's word for it.
And how is this relationship, as you, as a journalist, cover this? What are you paying particular attention to in the Khashoggi story and this relationship?
Well, the Khashoggi story, the main thing I think we're paying attention to is what happened to him and what the ramifications of that will be. But beyond that, there are larger implications for the U.S. relationship with Saudi Arabia, clearly the U.S. relationship with Turkey, and the Turkey-Saudi relationship, which has been fraught for a long time. And clearly Turkey has looked at this situation and saw an opportunity, frankly, to embarrass the Saudis or attempt to. So those are things that will go on long after the dreadful circumstances that appear to have fallen Mr. Khashoggi are revealed.
Well, watch for more. Thank you, Ann. Washington Post White House reporter Ann Gearan in Washington.